Hattie, what's your name? What do you do? And where are you from?
My name is Lucas Bourgoyne. I am a Criterium racing cyclist. And what was the last question?
Where are you from?
Houston, Texas, but now I live in Austin.
There we go.
Yeah.
So Lucas Bourgoyne, when it comes to Criterium Racing, what is that for our viewers that might not know?
Criterium racing is fast paced. Like if you've ever seen the Tour de France, it's the Americanized version of that.
Nice.
Instead of long stage racing amongst the mountains, we pick downtown cities along a big famous bar strip at nighttime, four corners, high speed, hour and a half, bang on the barriers with your dad, drinking a beer,
Mhm.
that kind of vibe. It's Americanized sports meets cycling, and I love every second of it.
So how did you get into cycling as a sport as well?
Yeah. So originally I was actually a runner.
Okay.
I was track and field, cross country, indoor track. I actually at one point in time held like 14 age group world records
Wow.
in running. Yeah, yeah, like 30-time national champion or something as well. And I enjoyed running for a bit. And I think at some point I stopped enjoying running. And right in that same kind of vein, I ended up breaking my foot
Oh wow.
training one morning while running. Stepped in like a pothole, blew out my toe, like ran an extra 2 miles on it. Was like, I'm that guy. Thought I had just like sprained it or something. And then by the end of the workout, I'm like walking and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy. And from there, I went to the doctor. They're like, yeah, you can, Nationals was coming up. Like, you can stay in shape by being on the bike. The shoes are hard. The pressure won't bother you. It's the bending, and you can't bend your toes in that shoes. So, use that and stay in shape. And 3 months later from that date, I think I won my first cycling natty champ.
So
And
you still had a broken foot though, huh?
I was coming off the broken
Okay.
foot. Yeah, I was, it only takes about a month for those to
Yeah.
heal or so. But off the broken foot, straight into cycling. And that validation right off the jump was like, all right, word, I guess I can do this too. And this is way more fun.
So when did you move out of, because I imagine you're in Houston when
Uh-huh.
this journey started.
Mhm.
When did you move out of Houston and then start breaking away into the professional cycling world?
So right, I lived up in Houston basically my whole like, growing up life. I actually came out to Austin originally, and I had been up here for years bouncing around because Austin has such a huge cycling culture. So every summer I'd spend a lot of time up here when I was 15, 16,
Hmm.
17. And then as soon as I graduated high school, I went to UT. And so I went to UT for a year and a half. I got 48 credit hours to my name, year and a half,
Hmm.
college dropout.
There you go.
Your mom's favorite college dropout. And I was doing school and racing and training up here, and I had turned like professional right out the jump, I guess is what
Hmm.
they would consider
Where
it.
are you studying before you dropped that?
Dude, I was in UT's. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and so
Yeah.
they have that degree where it's like you don't have to declare any certain major for the first 2 years. You
Hmm.
just get the basics done, and that's where I
But
like.
you knew you wanted to ride a bike.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I was plotting my way out.
I see.
I was plotting my
Did you
exit.
tell your parents that when you used to
Hell
CET?
no, bro. For about 2 years after, they're like, "So when are you gonna go back to school?" I'm just like, "Just let me cook. Just let
Right.
me cook. I can
And
figure this
so,
out."
what was the first sport, or
Hmm.
not the first sport, the first team you were a part of? Was
Hmm.
that Elevate from
Yes.
Webbyplex Pro? So go into that. How was that first year when you were cycling?
It was cool. I mean, it was cool and it was weird actually because my first year was 2020, so that's the year of COVID-19.
Right.
And so it's like, I worked super hard in the off season, which is this time. Like the cycling season is about March to October
Okay.
time frame. And the rest of it's considered off season. And in the off season, it's like, yeah, it's off, but it's just off from racing. You actually train
Hmm.
harder, you work out a lot more. So off is very, very relative. And so did all that and then got in shape, was flying at team camp. Like I was the new young kid on the block. Everyone else on the team was 30 plus years old. Like cycling's very much a sport like that where it's like young guns come through every once in a while, but most of the time the guys are 30, 35 years old because
Right.
that's really your prime time age for this sport.
Hmm.
And yeah, man, I went there, killed team camp, was like, yeah, I'm gonna be on these big racing blocks, and
Mhm.
then like I was literally headed out for this race like called U23 Roubaix, I think, which
Mhm.
is one of the biggest one days for like an under 23-year-old rider. And the day before I was supposed to leave, world shuts down.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so then I lived in, it was nice being in Texas during COVID. I think
Mhm.
everyone can attest to that than the other places in the world
Right.
because, like, after 2 months, everyone was like, what is COVID? Like, what happened? I was like, and the rest of the world's like, oh, the shut down. Like, you can't even enter
Right.
places and stuff. So yeah, I really just kind of trained a ton and kept at it. Used the leaned on the work ethic during
Okay.
that time because it's like you either get real fit and you
Right.
treat it like a season and you get another year under your belt,
Right.
or you stop training and you waste a year. And what are you
Mhm.
gonna go do? Play video games because you can't really do anything else.
Right.
And so I used that time. That was kind of really the budding time of not only like me really leaning into cycling, being like, I can do this. I got to train at the level that these guys are training at
Mhm.
and whatnot, but also like allowing me to get into other facets of business and whatnot. So where I launched originally what was Luke's Bourgoyne Coaching, and now it's Cowboy Coaching
Right.
in that same year
Right.
as a way to one have something to do,
So
but
this was within your initial year.
yes, this is all in my
So
initial
did you
year.
go after you dropped out of UT and
Hmm.
you went into Elevate?
Yes.
Did you have the intention of starting your own coaching business, or you were just like, you know what, I have free time because it's COVID and this is how I'm gonna start going into business?
With what I do, it's a very much like more since it's a niche like sport and whatnot, even more than like, like big sport where it's like a pot at the end of the rainbow that you're chasing the pot of gold, and like if you get there, hell yeah, bro,
Right.
you're set.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that don't make it, and I think cycling is very much is a similar way. Like you eat a lot of shit before you make it to the end thing, and like if you say like the NBA, it's 200 guys
Mm-hmm.
that make it to where it's like that crazy living, and nothing that we will ever make will be in like the NBA range or whatnot, but like you'll be chilling, and 5 guys, 10 guys make it like that
Mm-hmm.
in this sport. And so, like, you got to be smart. You got to figure out how you bide your time to get there. And I think more than anything, that's why I started the coaching business, was because it's like I have a vast amount of knowledge. Like, I'm on, and that's that. Elevate Webbyplex was the number one pro team for 3 years before that. And like, I had ridden with them as a junior. They'd actually picked me up the year before as a junior.
While you're at UT?
Well, no, no, no. While I was in high school, actually,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I
Wow.
was like a test project, basically. Like,
Mm.
we think this kid's got the like stones. Let's see if we can like develop him this year, give him the endurance that he needs for these bigger pro races. At first, and going into 2020, they weren't even going to sign me,
Yeah.
because I did some like test racing with them early in the season, and I realized that like I just got my ass kicked. And I realized I like started looking like, why are these guys beating me? Like I understand that they're like good, they work hard, but then I realized it's like, oh, I'm training 10 to 12 hours a week and these guys are training 20, 25, 30 hours a week.
Right.
And I was like, oh, word. And so
Yeah.
then I started literally right after this race was called Redlands, started training like that.
Uh-huh.
And then the back half of the season, I won a bunch of huge like junior nations cups with like world competition, people coming in from all over,
Mm-hmm.
and just completely reinvented kind of myself on the bike. And it went from like, all right, let's test this kid out. Let's see if he can cut it. We're probably not going to sign him. Let's give him another year to develop. And then all of a sudden, it's like I just went into the back half of the season, hit the summertime, was just win, 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 win,
Right.
win. They're like, word, we'll take him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is why we bet. This is why
And
bet paid
so
off.
after 2020, it seems
Yeah.
like you hopped to Hagen's Berman Axion, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that right.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a US Euro team, correct?
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So the first one, Elevate, was a US based only mainly.
Yeah.
And then Hagen's is actually like known as like the best U23 team development team in the world.
Wow.
And
Still
so
to this day?
I think maybe not to this day. I think
Okay.
during that
But
there's
at
a
that
lot of
time.
world tour teams popping up now, but they're definitely one of the top, I'd say 3 still that turns top level talent. And so I did that for a year. I lived in, and that kind of started my Euro campaign for
Right.
my life, where I ended up living in Europe for like 3 or 4 years, racing bikes over there, chasing the like road racing lifestyle, which is the long format Euro, like point to point, 5-hour days in the
Right.
mountains and the flats all over across the European regions. And then, yeah, man, it was it was an interesting year for
Right.
sure. I
Because
was
that's a completely different type of racing,
completely
too.
different type of racing, but I was also injured all year. Like
How?
right at the beginning of 20 or end of 2020, going into that year, I was training like a madman again. Like I got
Mm,
my big shot on the world's best
right.
team. If you do well here, you're gonna go world tour and race the tour. Like that's how it kind of worked. And coming into it, I was out training in Austin, and I ended up going head on with a car,
Wow.
and I like shattered like a bunch of bones in this wrist. I dislocated this shoulder and then lost about all the skin on this side of my body.
Wow.
And like, it was bad crash, but not like coming away head on with a car with a wrist break.
Only a cyclist would say
Yeah, right, right,
that.
right, right.
Yeah.
Coming away with only like my wrist being broken in a couple places, I was like, word, like, okay. Like, I got on the bike literally like 3 days later. I was back
Right.
training again, like indoor, like on a stationary. I
Yeah,
had
I'm
like,
like, how are you doing?
yeah, yeah. It's pain. It's definitely, there's some pain points in there, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got back to it, but I think like I didn't realize the effect that my wrist, like breaking a wrist, because it's a joint
Yeah,
that takes a
man.
long
Controlling
time
too.
to heal. Like
Right.
they were telling me after a month I was good. I wasn't good for like 7 months where I wouldn't get pain.
Well, yeah, because you're also exercising with it, right?
Exactly,
Took
exactly.
longer.
Yeah, and you got to get all the tendons and ligaments back up in there, like
Right.
working again, and it took so long. So I went through this year, and I was like racing, but I was racing half assed because I literally at some point halfway through the race my wrist wouldn't just go out, and I'm like kind of steering in a European peloton with one and a half hands.
Right.
It's like that's not
No,
that's
it's not
not how
gonna
you
work.
do, yeah. And so then I was like, well, shit. I come back home. I like start gearing up for U23 nationals. And like I'm flying because I have all this Euroform, and it's right when they started mandating that everyone had to get a vaccine to come back to Europe, and I ended up getting that J&J vaccine,
Right.
that like was the one shot one, that ended up getting like really torched, because it was really bad for you actually,
Right.
and like the end things. And I was one of the many case studies of why it was so bad, because I ended up getting this shot, and like I'm an athlete who had never cramped before in my entire life. Like it takes so much to break me down, and all of a sudden I'm like hit the 3 hour mark.
Boom.
I'm out. Like
Yeah.
I was just done. My body was done. And we ended up coming. I came and gotten some tests at the end of the season because I was suffering from it all the back half of the season. Like, what just happened to my body? Like, did I
Right.
just over fatigue myself?
Right.
Like, what's going on? Went and did a bunch of blood tests, and the doctor's like rattling off this list of like other things they think it is from my symptoms. And then she's like, uh, one last one. Did you get the COVID vaccine? And I was like, yeah. She's like, which one? And I was like, J&J. And she's like, oh, word. Yeah, so that one in men under 30 has had a like very high adverse effect, and like it swells like something like your red blood
Yeah.
cells, and they sink faster.
Right.
I don't really know the technological terms of all this shit, but I know that at the end of the day, it made me cramp,
Right.
and there's nothing I could do about it. Once they like saturated enough or something, they'd sink, and then that would cause it wouldn't flow as well, and all of a sudden it's like word. So it's like all of a sudden my 2021, and I dealt with all of that in silence,
Mm-hmm.
which was in retrospect probably not my best decision, but
Right.
it's how I did it. I didn't want to be the guy that's complaining. I didn't want to be the guy that's like, I've got this opportunity, and I'm just gonna like, like for all these unknown like my wrist works,
Mm-hmm.
but my wrist doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
My body works, but my body doesn't
Mm-hmm.
work. So it's like they're not gonna. At some point, you're like, no one's gonna believe you.
Right.
You just got to get out there, and that's what I did. And I tried, gave my best go, and it didn't really quite work out, which was hard, I think,
Right.
to like, get
How do
that.
you think that's shaped you as an individual beyond cycling?
Yeah, and especially on top of it, like I'm in a foreign country. I'm living
Mm-hmm.
in Spain the whole
Right.
time. Like
Yeah. I
I'm,
mean, there's not really people you know there
yeah,
either,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It was. I will say in Girona, I did live where like a lot of Americans were and whatnot. It's a big American region in
Right.
Spain.
Right.
I did that intentionally, but still, it's like the rest of the operating world is Spanish speaking. Um, it definitely. I think the biggest thing I took from it was something I've always had, but it really made me lean into it more. and cycling. And can I curse? Like, I know I've been cursing a little bit on this. Yeah.
At this point, it's
Yeah, it's fine.
fine.
Okay. I think it really, I have a very big attitude when I feel like I get a chip on my shoulder, and
Right.
and whether it's valid or not, it doesn't really matter. It's just like, fuck you, watch this.
Yeah.
And it really, that 2021-year-old year
Mhm.
gave me that attitude to the max. And that's why I went back to France the next year. And that was of development years for me as a young man. I lived in France in 2022 in the back of a warehouse in a loft in a French town where there was not one English speaker. It's a town of 2,000 people in northwestern France.
Mm.
And I did that for a year. And
Mm.
it was literally just me, my bike, and my thoughts.
Right.
And that was my life for a year. I lived like a little monk, and I chased this dream. And that year I found great success.
Mm.
I actually like won the only sprint stage. They have like this ranking system. There's like 400 races a year,
Mhm.
and then there's 5 of them that are like the holy grail
Right.
of French amateur racing.
Right.
And I go back, I win one of those, and it was the only one that's a sprint stage. And what I do, like, there's 3 types of riders. There's climbers, who are
Right.
the guys who win the tour, time trialists, look like the little triathlete
Right.
guys. That's you versus the clock. And then there's sprinters, which is what I do, which is I'll wait 5 hours to pop out 200 meters to go.
Right.
With what I do now, I'll wait an hour and a half to pop out I don't touch the wind till 200 meters to go.
Mm.
I'm the last dash at the line. And so it's like, I won the biggest Coupe de France that year in France for sprinters.
Right.
Won like 4 or 5 more races. Was consistently like ranked at the top of the French racing league, and yeah, I proved that, at least to myself. It might have been the amateur league, but I could cut it here because French is the biggest country in the world, or biggest biking country in the world, and I could make it at the top of
Mhm.
their league, right? And so it's
Right.
like, what's next?
So this was 2023,
This is
just for
2022.
2022.
Yeah.
And shortly after, I mean, you were at one other team. It was CIC
Mm-hmm.
U Nantes Atlantique.
Yes. Dude,
Um,
you got the pronunciations
yeah, I got it
down
down, man.
today.
But
I was in Google. How do you
how do you
pronounce?
pronounce? But after proving that to
Yeah.
yourself, while still, I imagine you're still doing your coaching business on the side,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah, absolutely. Full time.
This is the point where you hit on 2023, and
Yeah.
you. It seems like this is where you decided, am I going to go back to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
or am I going to try and further my career as far as it goes
Yeah.
at the EU U.S.
Yeah.
Bracket?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind?
I was struggling in Europe again. I think that was that, like, I did my monk year. I like I got on a continental squad
Mhm.
in France again. I went back, was racing a bunch of like, French pro races and stuff, like their higher level ones.
Mhm.
Basically, like, you have like a 3 or 4 tier ranking system in races in cycling over in Europe, and it was like the tour is like considered the highest level of racing, and then you
Right.
have right below that you have the like every like what 90% of the calendar operates on. So I did the racing all the way up in that point. I got in, all those guys that are prepping for the tour are using those events below that to get there, and so it's like I got to experience it. I got to see, like, what would that look like? What would my life look like, pretty much, moving around. And I just think I was really unhappy at the time. Like, I really struggled on that team pretty heavily with like the staff and whatnot. They had like promised me a bunch of stuff, like I was gonna go and do all these big sprinter races, and then last minute a big French team that was a higher ranking than ours had folded, and it flooded the French market with riders.
Mm.
And so then we pick up a sprinter who's like the golden child of French sprinting over there,
Mhm.
and it pretty much just like my calendar just disappeared. All of a sudden I'm in mountain climber races, and it's
Right.
like, I'm not a big boy, but for cycling I'm a big boy,
Right.
and I can't climb for shit. And so it's like I'm over there and I'm just like, what am I doing here? Like,
Yeah.
the races I do go to, they're not my specialty. I'm not learning anything
Right.
in these races, because what I need to learn is the last 20K of these big races, how to navigate a sprint.
Right.
And so it's like, I'm not learning anything in these races. They're not like, I keep asking to race. I've raced a few times. Guys are racing 10, 20, 30 times already by this point. And so I was like, okay, word, like, if I'm not going to race, if I'm just going to sit, and like, I'm not, even though I'm in the most beautiful place in the world, I'm in Nice, France,
Right.
living on like 500 meters from the ocean edge in a beautiful top floor apartment,
Right.
and yet I still don't like my life. Like, what am I doing, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what am I really doing at the end of the day?
Mm-hmm.
If I want to go home, and like, if I'm gonna sit on my ass, I might as well sit on my ass at home with my friends and with all my perfect training stuff, and like, I have a motor pacer and stuff like that that's gonna make me better. And so around that time is, you go home every year for U.S. national
Right.
championships, and I went home. I did some crits at Tour of America's Dairylands, one of my
Mm.
favorite stops to this day
Why?
for crit racing, just because there's good money.
Yeah.
You could win a race and you'd win $2,000,
It's
$2,000.
got that cheddar, that
Yeah, it
cheese.
got that cheddar cheese, bro, out in the dairy. Yeah, I wanted the big block of cheese. That's
Yeah.
actually why I went. Screw the money, bro. I just wanted a cheese wheel that was 55 pounds, they said. No, I went to just dash some cash,
Yeah.
have a little bit more before I went back over to Europe, do some fun American racing.
Right.
It's like, crits are cool, man.
Yeah.
Like, it really is
Americanized.
Americanized,
Yeah,
bro.
there
Like,
you
yeah,
go.
exactly. And and so I went and did some crits, and I was like,
Mm.
this is the part of bike racing I fell in
Mhm.
love with
Mhm.
growing up. This, like, the exhilaration of turning a corner at max speed, and like, Wisconsin, lo and behold, happens to be a state that loves them some
Really?
bike racing. Yeah, dude,
That's
that
interesting.
Midwest loves bike. They show
Right.
up in droves to watch these events.
Right.
And fortunately, there was a big day in, I think it was like West Allis, where like the whole like last 300-400 meters is just lined like
Mm.
three, two, three, and by the time you get close to line 4, 5, 6
Mhm.
persons deep, and it's just, you go into a crowd of people and you're like, yeah, okay.
So when you came back for that U.S.
Mm-hmm.
net, this was the turning point.
Yes,
This
yeah,
was when you were like, I want to come back to America.
not quite.
Not quite. Okay, please.
I did that race, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
This is truly what I want to do. And so I was supposed to go back July 17th, 2023.
Right.
And on July 16th, I sent an email saying, hey, thanks for everything. I'm out.
Wow.
And I didn't step. I'm not getting on the plane tomorrow.
Right.
And I had already lined up some backup options, which is what you see my
Mhm.
transition in 23 to the Austin Aviators at
Mhm.
the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I had set all that stuff up in the back end. I knew where I was, like, I made the decision smartly. Like, I didn't just like,
Right.
like, and then hopefully I can find something. It was
Right.
like, no, like, I calculated as like, if I'm leaving this, I still love racing my bike. I still think I have something to offer, but I need a second to get my head on straight.
Right.
And I really like crit racing, and I really like what this dude Justin Williams is doing, and I really think that I could do something similar and maybe even better.
Right.
And so, why not?
So you say you really liked what Justin Williams was doing.
Yeah.
Can you give a brief overview of who Justin Williams is,
Yep.
and how he elevated himself as far as growing a brand behind the sport itself?
Absolutely. I think he's the first, maybe not the first thing that has done it, but maybe at least in recent years, the first person who has really done it and built a brand around him. Justin Williams is your 2018 and 2019 amateur U.S. national champion. He's also multi-time Belizean national champion. I don't know how many times, but he really, simply, he made cycling cool.
Right.
He really, that was his message. That was his mission. He was also leaning into bringing more diversity and equity into the sport. You know, he had multiple other programs. I'm sure I'm not giving him enough credit for and whatnot, but at the basis of what he was doing, it was, if we make people think what we do is cool and it's fun and it's entertaining, which it is, where else can you go and stand on a barrier sideline for free
Hmm.
and watch some dude eat shit at 40 miles an hour and lose all skin on his body? Like, really, you can't do
Yeah.
that anywhere else
Yeah.
in the entire sporting industry.
Yeah.
And and so he put a light on that and he shone it bright and he screamed loud and people listened, because when Justin Williams does something, it is cool.
Right.
And that's why now he's got a Red Bull helmet.
How has that level of performance, but action
Mm,
taken by Justin to
mm,
try and make cycling into more of a sport that not only is attractive to people,
mm-hmm.
but also elevates the sport in the sense of community around that, like what you mentioned of someone driving 40 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Translate into your cycling when you moved back to the US. Because now I want to shape how you're starting to build your brand.
Yeah,
Let's get into that.
absolutely. Um, he showed me it was possible.
Right.
That's all I really needed from him. I needed to know that it was possible, because if I can see that something is possible,
Hmm.
I'll work so goddamn hard to get it.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just how I was raised. I won't stop until the task's done or until I've done everything I can do
Mm.
to make sure that I gave myself the best chance, because then at least I can look myself in the mirror at the end of the day and be like, hey, brother, you tried.
Right.
That's all you can do. You
Right.
gave it. Did you give it 110? All right, you gave it 110. You couldn't give it 111.
Mm.
So that's you can be happy with yourself at the end of the day and you can move on.
Mm.
And so that's what he showed me, it was possible. He showed me that don't give a shit what anyone thinks about you,
Mm.
because the oral tour guys, they will shit on me till the day I die for what I do, because it's not pure robotic. Like, World Tour is robot racing.
Yeah.
It is like, this dude has been optimized by this, and all he knows how to do is talk about power numbers. And it just, I go uphill so fast, I go uphill in 20 minutes and 30 seconds, and this guy went uphill 20 minutes and 22 seconds. It really is that like machine mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is like, yeah, I gotta, like, I'm competing, I'm going for the win. Like, I gotta have that dog in me. I gotta have that, like, screw you, it's me or you, and I choose me every time when I go for the
Right.
win. But like, there's also creativity to this. There is expression. There is being able to develop it in your own way, because there is no model, there is no system for what I do. There's a bunch of races and the chance to go there and promote yourself, but it's not like Europe, where it's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
you have to win the tour to da 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 da, or you
Mm.
have to win this to get here.
So, how did your first year back with Austin
Hmm.
Aviators? I mean, if you give me a ballpark, how many races were you winning then?
None.
Okay.
I didn't win one. I was the best third to seventh place finisher you'd ever seen, and I couldn't figure out why I
Yeah.
couldn't.
Drive you nuts, I bet.
Drove me up the wall.
Yeah.
But I think one of my like key defining traits is when I can't figure something out, I have a really good ability to go up to the best guys and be like, "Yo, tell me how you're doing this shit, because
Right.
I need to figure this out so
Right.
I can do it like you do it."
Right.
And that's what I did. That first half year I came into crits, I wasn't doing any of the media, I wasn't doing any of the promotion.
Mm-hmm.
I was focused on, how do I win? Because the first and foremost, most important thing out of all of this is, I better be winning, because no one gives a shit what I'm doing if I'm not.
Right.
And I think people lose sight of that quite frequently in this sport. They win, win, win. They get their big moment in the sun, and they're like, everyone cares about what I'm doing now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna roll in off this, and it's like, no, bro, they cared because your commodity was wins, and you were slanging them.
Right. And
You
then
know,
you're a trusted figure at that point.
exactly. It validates what you're saying when you're at the top.
So, what changed?
I hit 2023. I learned how to race and win.
Mm-hmm.
I learned from some of the best. Ty Magner was a huge mentor of mine. Like, I kind of in three parts learned what I needed to learn about cycling in the U.S. In Europe, it's all about power, straight
Mm-hmm.
line speed, a little bit of jostling, bumping, and pushing in, and just kind of big balling everyone. In crit racing, it's all about controlling your space laterally before a corner,
Mm-hmm.
and about being, instead of trying to big ball everyone and big power everyone, it's really who's the smoothest, who saves the most energy, who taps their brakes the least, how you float through the pack to get there effortlessly so that when it's time to apply the throttle, you have a lot more throttle in it. And that's what I learned from Connor Sally, was my first guy who opened my eyes. He was like, bro, you're a sprinter. Why are you racing at the front? Why are you covering moves? Race it like Europe. Go sit at the back. Go chill for 4 hours. Yeah, it's only an hour, but you're going to be that much fresher than all the guys did. Okay, word, Connor. Now he's teaching me how I tail gun the back of these races to stay as smooth as possible. Then comes in Ty Magner, who's a 2018 US Pro champ. He's like, all right, kid, I see you got the gas. Now you're starting to figure out the flow. This is how you hone your flow even more. He teaches me these techniques where like big cadence in the middle of the race to drop your heart rate, how you run a corner for my style of rider a little bit better. Like he expanded on what Connor taught me, because Connor was more of a kind of fast man, but also powerhouse, but also big fighter. Whereas like Ty, just like me, was a fast man, and so it was like he could really
Right. He
hone.
understood
He
you.
understood me. And then the last thing was Justin Williams, is how to run a slipstream. Why Justin Williams is so talented in the sprint is, yes, he can put out a lot of power. He's a big ass man, but he can also run a slipstream better than I've seen anyone else run a slipstream. And that's cutting through the draft to propel yourself forward at the end of the race in a sprint with 200 meters to go. You have 9 seconds of operational time. How do you get past this guy in front of you? Run his draft as good as possible. And I combined those three strategies, and I remember the day. It was May 25th, 2024, Easton Twilight
And this
Criterium.
is when you were on the Austin
This
Outlaws.
is Austin Outlaws. Yeah, this is my Outlaws year.
Right.
Rolling into the next one, the media starts to kick up. Like I hit this race, I win, and I'm like, all right, now I figured out how to win. And that's when I had a old buddy from just we met by happenstance, videographer. I had like given him a start in Europe because his passion was videoing cycling races in Europe. He had a similar story to me. Like he got spat out of European cycling videography of all the weird
Yeah,
things.
right.
And so he calls me up, and he's like working for DeWalt because he's really talented,
Right.
really, really talented guy. And he calls me up. He's like, yeah, I'm working at DeWalt, but like, my passion's still shooting bike racing. I see you're still doing it. So like, whenever you're like, we're in the same area, like you holler at me, I'll come out. And so at first my focus was, how do I win? How do I win? How do I win? That's my first commodity I got to get.
Right.
And then after that, it's now, how do we tell the story? So
Right.
Easton hits, I win. Okay, I
Right.
figured out how to win. I still got to hone it a lot more and get better at it. Like but now I have the mental capacity to realize, okay, now how do we tell the story? Because now people are going to start paying attention.
Right.
And that's when my buddy, 2 weeks later, he's like, dude, we got to start video. We got to video this Spencer Virtue from Toronto.
Nice.
Works for DeWalt, head of media and marketing at DeWalt now.
Yeah.
Very talented man. He starts coming out to races with me in the back half of 2024, and he starts making these just little trendy Instagram clip reels, telling a little bit of the story, telling a little bit of the shit,
So you first started out, you'd say, using short form content to elevate your brand, your identity.
Absolutely. And I think I'm still in short form content.
Yeah.
It's literally 2024's last year. We're at 2025 now.
Right.
So my strategy from when I started, let's say in June 2024, is when I really leaned into starting to understand media. I was understanding it through 2024, and then 2025 I started to really like click into what I needed to do to.
And what is that? Define that.
It is make things, show them to your friends, and if your friends are genuinely your friends are your hardest critics.
Right.
If your friends genuinely think it's cool, the rest of the world will probably think it's kind of cool.
Right.
And then we just leaned into that philosophy, and we noticed that like, hey, all these cool guys on Instagram in the cycling, or cool guys in the cycling space on Instagram, big athletes, world champions, Red Bull helmet guy, king of gravel, like they make a post, they post once every month. It's like, word, they're a big dude. They got 200K followers. Yeah, they're going to get 400,000 views on their one post. Like, yeah, but they make one post in a month.
How consistent are you?
I mean, in the crit season, we'd be turning 40 videos a month.
Wow.
45 videos a month.
Wow.
Double posting on days.
Right.
We had that much content flowing. And so it's like, word, yeah, you know what? Some of the posts are going to do 20 to 30K views. They're going to bomb. Okay, cool. The next set are going to do 50 to 100K. All right, word. Now we're starting to cook a little bit.
Right.
Cool. Another small next set up we'll have 3-4 videos do 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll have another 3, 4 do half a mil.
Mm-hmm.
Then we'll have another couple do probably almost at a mil,
Mm-hmm.
and then a couple over push over. And so it's like in that 1 month,
Right.
when we're looking at all these companies that we want to get us to sponsor us, yeah, it's cool. This dude posted one time and got 400K views. I have 4.9 million. And it doesn't matter how you get there.
Mm-hmm.
I have 4.9 million.
That's a lot of eyes.
That's a lot of eyes that care that are looking at what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's not a lot of eyes in the grand scheme of the Instagram world with big time influencers,
Right.
but in this niche market,
So originally it was Lucas Bourgoyne coaching.
Mm-hmm.
But when you enter into the Austin Outlaws, that's where another persona comes into motion.
Yes, sir.
Criterion Cowboy.
Yeah.
Right? Tell me about, what was the story of Criterion Cowboy as an Austin Outlaw?
Yeah.
And how did that switch from Lucas Bourgoyne coaching to Crit Cowboy coaching?
So the cowboy thing has actually been around since my French days.
Mm.
It was actually both of our boys, Gabe Porterfield's
Oh, that's lovely.
ideal. Yeah, I was setting off on my plane the first time to France or something like
Yeah.
that, and
Did he give you a cowboy
he
hat?
gave me a cowboy hat. He's like, hey brother, like it's gonna be tough over there. It's gonna be rough. You had friends and brothers who'd been over there. He'd been over there himself. He's like, and so most important thing you can do is never forget who you are.
Mm.
And you're from Texas, so here's a cowboy hat, and every time you step on that podium, you show it off in France. And I was like, it was him and this other guy, Scott Henry, who's one of my older mentor friends. And they came up with they kind of helped me lean into that, because I was like, I got to do something unique while I'm over there to really catch attention. And that's kind of it was their baby idea, and then I ran with it. And then like in 2022 on that Fabolia team, I win one of those big races, and at first they would always mock me, the director or whatever, they'd mock me for the cowboy hat. They'd be like, it's just American, da 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 da,
Right.
pizza. And I'm like, okay, word. And then I win a big race, and I'm on my cowboy hat in the podium. And normally you go to the stage, a crowd will stand out there, take pictures, you sign stuff for 5 minutes, and then you're gone.
Right.
I was there for an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Wow.
People taking pictures, people having me sign shit.
Right.
Oh, look at it's the cowboy. It's the cowboy in the hat. We go take the picture now, honey. And I'm like, word. And all of a sudden, the very next day, it goes from this they were mocking me for it, literally, to I'm there in these races. There's the group, the pack of cyclists, and then behind it each team has a car that has bikes if they break stuff. So they call me back, and we're all racing with radios. They call me, come back to the car. And one of the biggest cycling newspapers in France is in the
What's it called?
I can't even remember at
okay.
this time. Yeah, they're sitting in the car doing an interview with the director, and then the director grabs my cowboy hat out of the back while I'm mid race riding, sticks it out the window, puts it on my head, and look, he's the cowboy, it's the cowboy, and the guy's taking pictures for the like article and shit,
Yeah.
like what the hell's going on, and it's like, in one day, it flipped
Right.
like that, and then I saw I understood it before, and I did it before because it was something that reminded me of home and who I am, but then I saw the power of it.
Right.
And then I really leaned into it the back half of 2022. That 2023 team, the CIC, really tried to pull that out of me again. They were really rigid, strict, like by the book French,
Right.
like so French, bro. It was insane. And like they tried to pull it out of me, and by the time I went back in 2023, I was like, hell no. Like when I left and I brought it like kind of full back, and then 2024 when we started doing media behind it, that's just when it started elevating. Gas on the pedal.
Right.
Everybody likes a shtick. Everybody likes a brand.
How have you used Criterion Cowboy to elevate some of the businesses you have?
It's kind of just been a name that's been given to me, and I think just for branding and recognition purposes, like, yeah, it just makes it easy to market in my space. I think outrightly I can say I am known as the cowboy in U.S. American cycling. If you hear the cowboy, there's one name you think of. And so from there, it was just like, let's just build off of it. Let's not make it my name, because my name can be biasing sometimes. Some people love Lucas Bourgoyne, some people hate Lucas Bourgoyne. That's just the way life is. But Crit Cowboy Coaching and whatnot, that's a different story.
Hmm.
That's the rowdiness, that's the energy that we create and bring. And I'll say that is, everyone may not love us, but I think that most people really do enjoy the energy that we bring to bike races now.
And the credibility you have from winning,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And when it comes to Cowboy, is it primarily you who's managing that business now, or as a cyclist, how are you maintaining all these businesses you own?
So Crit Cowboy Coaching started out as just me. I have a buddy end on the back end helping me. Like, that's been the growing thing this year now. 2025, we had it was like at the start of it was our fake it till we make it year. It was, you know, 6 boys, a black minivan, and a dream,
Hmm.
basically a few bikes and a dream, and we went and hit all of the biggest crits in the country. And now at the end of it, small budgets, like probably had $100,000
Right.
operational budget, and now at the end of it all,
Yeah, where are we at now?
bro, 1.7 operational budget in a
Wow.
year.
Wow.
Absolutely blessed.
Right.
Absolutely blessed in
And
one year.
how did because now you're the director of
Yeah,
Cadence Cycler,
yeah.
the team you're on right now.
Mm-mm.
As far as it goes for operations,
Yeah,
like as a writer and director,
yeah.
how do you rally? I mean, how many people are on the team as well
We'll
at this point?
have 8. So that has been the fun part, is this
Right.
year I really kind of built out the staff on like a minimal budget. It was friends like, yo, come out, we'll pay for your flight, your food, or gas, or however you're gonna get here, and then like just like let's shoot, let's turn and burn. I have a vision, and if I think if we do it right, like
Mm-hmm.
it'll work.
Mm-hmm.
And then it started working, and then everyone just kept buying in and buying in and buying in, because there's like proofs in the pudding.
How do you rally people like that?
Ah, I
You
think
know?
I speak with conviction, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's the thing that I will go 110%. I'll outwork every one of my boys with me.
Mm-hmm.
I will go, they know I will go harder for them every time. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's that simple philosophy that if I can if I can see that, I believe that, I speak with conviction on it, and then I show them that I will outwork them,
Mm-hmm.
it makes it really easy for them to be like, well, shit, if he's going to work that hard and he believes in it that much, and we have anecdotal proof now that it really is working. We do have to wait till the next sponsorship window flips for 2026. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're in our waiting period
Mm-hmm.
now, but it's like, it's the best thing that crit racing's got going right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's like, let's go, let's ball.
So now that you have stake as a director in Cadence
Yeah,
Cycler, how have you been building the brand of your teammates as well? Because
yeah,
it's not just being a rider at this
right.
point. I mean, it never really was,
Mm-mm. Not
but
for
that
American
now you have
Cycling.
to handle operations, logistics,
Yeah,
right? Which
yeah.
you already dabbled in, but now it's
Mm-hmm.
getting even more serious.
Yeah,
Bringing on new sponsors.
yeah.
You understand that you need attention to bring retention, which
Right.
brings results.
Right, right. It's been a learning process. In 2024, I was funded by this team called the Austin. It was the Austin Aviators that changed into Austin Outlaws.
Hmm.
They gave us a decent budget that would got us to like 20 or 30 races a year. But I told me and this other my right hand man, Luke Fetzer,
Okay,
is this 19-year-old blonde haired beautiful Californian man.
love it.
I was like, hey, bro, like, you're 19, I'm 23 at the time. I was like, the only way we're going to get as good as all these guys that were racing is if we catch up in experience and exposure. And so it's like 20 to 30 race days isn't enough.
Mm.
Back in the day, during Lance's heyday, when all these guys grew up, they would race 100 times in a year because
Wow.
racing was that
Wow.
readily available.
Hmm.
And so it's like, we need to go race. Like, we can feasibly do like 80 races this year. We need to go do 80 races, or else we'll never stand a chance against them, because we're setting ourselves years behind in exposure. So it's like, you think about, instead of doing, if I had done 20 races that year versus the 80 I had
I
done,
mean,
I'm 3 years ahead of myself.
right, and you can't even produce 40 to 45 videos a month. Yeah.
Exactly, right. And so in 2024, we leaned into that. We hit all these races. I learned the logistics that year. That year, I learned, how do we move from point to point? Who do I need to call for when we get there? Because we're, host housing into people's places and stuff like that. Like, I really started to build out this system of locations we could go, places we could stay. How do we get there as easily as possible? How do you move from event to event? And then 2025, when I went into Team Cadence, I was just a rider, but I took over because now I'd say I'm a co-owner with this other guy, Chad Plumley,
Hmm.
who's the Cadence Cyclery bike shop up in Dallas. But last year I was really more of a director role, where it's like, because I knew the logistics, because I knew the riders I needed to execute and win, because I knew the media things that needed to get done,
Hmm.
I basically, he gave me 100 grand,
Hmm.
said, "Good luck, boy.
Yeah.
Do your thing." And we did our thing, and that's, I figured out. Then this year was basically the test run of, I figured out all the places from beginning with no help, no 20 or 30 race days like the year before, paid for, covered, backed. It was I had the backing, the financial backing and whatnot, but I had to figure out how to get there. I had to figure out where we're staying. I had to figure out how we're doing X, how we're moving Y, how do we get the media guys, where's the car moving, so that then when we go to the next spot, it's already there. Hiring out a mechanic for the bigger races so that we could have some support and whatnot at like pinnacle days. And that was, bringing in more guys that, what I would say, are just like me on the bike. They're undervalued, and but have extreme talent. They just need someone to recognize it.
Mm.
And that is the group of men that I've put around myself with. You have Chad Plumley as the co-owner with me, operates the exact same way. Kyle Anderson, best mechanic in the country. He can do what a normal mechanic can do in an hour and 10 minutes. Then I have the videographer, these young kids coming up. All of a sudden they're producing content that they should be getting paid $2,000 to $3,000 a drop for a video, and they're just turning it out like it's water.
Right.
And it's like, I'm so for it might be one of my other skills, is being able to recognize extreme talent when I'm around it and it's undervalued, and bringing those guys in. But it's like, I'm so lucky to have the men around me that I have, because it makes my job that much easier, and it makes it all so much more work.
So ultimately, besides, of course, your grit,
Yeah.
media and people
Mm.
are what have transformed the very structure of the life around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very good way. Media is basically, can be summed up in telling my story,
Mm.
and the people around me are the ones that hold me accountable, hold me to that standard, keep me moving in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
If you put a lot of excellent people around you, you will do excellent things, and that is what we do.
Now, when it comes to Cadence Cyclery, one thing I noticed is there's been a lot of magazines in that world that you've been featured in.
Yeah.
Velo, Outside, Cycling News.
Yeah.
How are you using that as far as bringing in sponsors?
Yeah.
Right? Because those are very well known. That's also the featured news where people go for cycling news.
Yeah.
But also for your own business that you co-own, Bikes by Kyle, and
Yeah.
also Cadence Cycler. Yeah, get into that, please.
Yeah. So I think I'm a work in progress on learning how to leverage those things. This is not the background I come from. This is not what I learned in school. This is not what my dad's an accountant. My mom works in human trafficking work. So like, this isn't my world. I've had to very much figure it out on the fly from other smart people around me. And I would say I haven't leveraged those things enough. Like, I genuinely and truly haven't. I think some of it is because, like, I would like to think of myself as a fairly humble person. It was something that my parents instilled in me young. Don't be arrogant. No one likes someone who's arrogant. And so to me, almost sometimes those magazine covers and whatnot, even when I'm pitching myself, it feels arrogant to stick it in front of someone's face. But I'm learning that that's not the case, that is what you've done. You've earned that level and amount of respect, and you need to walk as much in that way in the business world, because if you do, then the business world can be at your feet. But if you don't, and you kind of timid around it and whatnot, and it's not that you won't get somewhere, but you'll definitely get taken advantage of. And so it's like, I'm growing into that. I don't know. I'm growing into it,
Yeah.
dog. Just like on the bike, I had to grow into it. I'm growing into it in this space as well. And then I think like the Cowboy Coaching, the Bikes by Kyle, which is now a concierge bike shop in Austin, Texas, that goes around and services high-end bicycles from your home. We've applied a very simple strategy, which is, let's use my persona, your skill, bam,
Right.
business.
Right.
And like, because I have my dad's accounting and CPA background, that is what I know how to do. I know how to start a business, know how to set it up. I know how to make sure we move money efficiently so that we maximize every dollar that we have. I know how to, and then we have my dad on the back end for taxes, which is usually a big cost expense for
Big
businesses and
time.
stuff. And so like I'm very fortunate in that way. The reason I can afford to have, 4 small businesses now is because I did work hard and learn and listen a lot when my dad was talking, but then also like I do have that back end
Mhm.
protection, which is very nice and helpful. If you know what's happening with the money, where the money's moving, how it's being spent in a business, that's the guy who knows what the hell's going
If you
on.
were to offer a lesson,
Mm,
or not necessarily a lesson, but a word of advice
yeah,
to, let's say, 18-year-old Lucas Bourgoyne,
yeah.
from where you're at now, um, what would that be beyond from like a business side? Because at the end of the day, you can be an athlete, but if you don't have something that sets you up financially
Right.
and you're washed, what are you going to do after?
Wait, so what's the question? What am I going to do after, or what would be the advice I'd
What
give?
would be the advice?
I think the advice that I would continue to lean into and the advice that I would continue to lean into and what I thought back then that really paid me big beyond my own imagination dividends and who knows how far it's going to go was jump. Do
Take the leap.
not be afraid to jump. When I was 19, looking at starting my coaching business and whatnot, I did a market analysis. I looked and I said, damn, all these guys are 28, 29, 30, starting their coaching businesses. Right now, I need to start one because when you're trying to scrape it to make it in cycling, you need to make money somehow. And it's like, I need to train a bunch of days. So I need to have a remote kind of thing I can move with me. Boom, coaching. That's going to keep me flush enough to keep, being able to have a little bit of salary from a cycling team, have a coaching salary, have a race winning salary. Okay, now I'm okay. I don't need anyone's help. I don't need any, I don't need any handouts or anything like that. I got to be smart and stuff, but and I did have some men who supported me early and whatnot, and those Scott Henry, Charlie Thomas, Doug Zell, um, but like jump, man, and I jumped, and I was like, if I jump, well, all these guys are waiting until they're 27, until they're on the back end of their careers or they're waning down. It's like I'm gonna beat them by an 8-year run. So how much more can I do in 8 years? Look what I've done in one.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really give me an 8-year head start. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was never afraid to jump. And honestly, now in the cycling space, like no one was doing coaching businesses
Mm-hmm.
at 19. It was a thing you didn't even consider till
How
you're.
did you get people to engage with you as a coach that
I'm on
young, man?
Actions Hagens Berman. I'm on the
Right,
number one U23 team in the world. I'm not trying to teach the best of the best, but I'm
right.
trying. There's a lot of like beginners. There's a lot of masters, cat threes that I have so much more access to information because I've been in testing labs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting with the number one Olympic training center
Mm-hmm.
coaches. They're analyzing my stuff. They're talking to me, and again, I'll ask questions. So I'm gonna learn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna pick your brain, and then I'm gonna go apply it to these people, and that's what it is. I'm giving you a world-class training program
Mm-hmm.
at the from U23 top team in the world. Current I was that same year I was also the U23 crit, the under 23 US crit champion,
Mm-hmm.
which is like the level below what I won this year. So it's like the building blocks, building steps, and so I leaned into that, and I got a lot of shit for it. I got so much shit for it. Oh my god, I got chastised by my own friends for it the whole time. But I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's helping me do what I wanted, what I love to do, and it's getting me to the point. That business got me to where if I didn't have that business, I might not be where I am today
Mm-hmm.
because I would have had to do something else that would have taken my time away from cycling,
Mm-hmm.
and then who knows what happens at
Mm-hmm.
that point, right? And so I wasn't afraid to jump. And now you look in the coaching space, and there's like I can think of 10 or 15 coaching businesses that are all by kids under 25.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because now, and like I've said this before, don't be afraid to jump. Now these kids aren't afraid to jump. Now it's got to be to a point where it's like, all right, you gotta have some merit when you're doing when you're
Right.
jumping. You gotta have some sauce in your step
Yeah.
too. You gotta have it. There's got to be. I played it smart. I waited till I was on Action Hagens Berman,
Right.
leverage that name to then
Right.
leverage my own name. And it's the same thing with Bikes by Kyle. Literally last year, Kyle Anderson he worked for the Aviators,
Mm-hmm.
Outlaws, all those teams I had been on,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd come back at the end of the year and he's like, damn, bro, I need to make some more money. Like, da 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 da. It's like I had just had my 2024 year where it was very evident. Like, I wasn't the biggest name by any means, but like it was very evident that I was about to come in and probably take over the winning in this sport. I think maybe not. I don't think anyone thought in the way that we did it this year,
Mm-hmm.
but it was coming. And so I told him, I was like, well, hey man, I got in this community, in the cycling community, my name can move some weight. So like,
Mm-hmm.
let's start this business. You'll make some extra cash. We'll do a little profit share, and I'll be happy and you'll be happy. We'll sell off my name and sell off your absolute wizardry on mechanicking with
Mm-hmm.
bicycles.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, again, it's like I can trust Kyle because it's like Kyle's literally the best in the country at what he does.
Yeah, and he also was working with you on the road, man.
Exactly. So I've seen this man do, I mean, he'd do like what would be an hour's worth of work. And I'd be like, bro, my bike just blew up before a race. Like, and if this is an hour's worth of work, the race starts in 14 minutes. My bike is ready 3 minutes before the race. Boom. Go out there, win the race.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's just exceptional people.
Right.
Don't let exceptional people go.
Yeah.
It really, and bet big on him. And that's what I've, Kyle lives with me now.
Mm-hmm.
He literally like that man is my caretaker.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond just making sure my bike is flowing and whatnot. Like, that man makes sure he knows that I'm eating every day. We're training every day. He's motor pacing me like you were doing with Luke, because he knows it's like, if I'm good and I'm fast and my brain is relaxed, well, we're all gonna eat, you know. And like, that's really the mentality, is to take care of my people too.
Yeah.
And that's why they bet big on me, because I never tell you something that I can't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm dreaming, I'll tell you I'm dreaming.
Right.
But usually most of the times the dreams have become reality. And then by the point when I get to where I can say, this is what we're gonna do and I can deliver on this, never break your word. Never break your word. That is another huge thing this industry has taught me, because so many people go back on their word, and it makes it a volatile industry because of that. And if you're the one thing in it, or one of the things in it, that actively, when you say you're going to do X, you deliver on X plus 10, that'll give you the goddamn world.
Yeah.
Really.
So outside of these for-profit businesses that you have, you're also about to, well, you already are, but starting a nonprofit.
I am not starting a nonprofit, but our racing team is attached to a nonprofit called Winning the Race with Diabetes. And so all year long we race with that down our butts and backs. And it's just something to raise awareness of it. It's always important to me that this is bigger than just us.
Right.
And this is one of those facets. Like, as my platform's been growing, like, again, my mom works in nonprofit human trafficking work. So it's like, now I've been helping her kind of like try to elevate that, grow that and whatnot, because I think that the bike has always been a vehicle for me to so much more than just bikes. And so it's like, if I can actually do something that maybe it's small scale change, or maybe maybe it means nothing at the end of the day, who really honestly knows. But again, I'm going to try. And if I can use my page to bring light to the 501c3 that we're going to do events with next year, and and like, put Winning the Race Diabetes branding down, have events where people can come out, bring awareness to that, bring awareness to what my mom's doing in her work and whatnot. Like, that means something to me. And that means that the hard work that I'm doing isn't just about me. And I hope people see that through what I'm doing with the team. Like, I'm trying to highlight and elevate the other boys and whatnot as they're coming up, as they're growing into their own brands, because we're more powerful together.
Right.
Lucas Bourgoyne can't be the only brand and stand atop of this mountain that no one else sits on, because then my mountain has a peak. But if I can get my boys, even, it doesn't even have to be my boys, just other people and teams out in the industry, to all start, come on, let's work together.
Right.
Let's work together. Let's work together. We collectively, there will be more in the space, and if there's more in the space, there's more for each of you to take. And
you ever heard the quote, "I don't mind sharing a slice of the pie if it only gets bigger"?
Damn straight. Damn straight, bro. That is exactly our mentality. That, I think, is why we're being so received so well in our space, and it's growing us exponentially quicker than I thought we ever could have,
Mm.
because for so long this space has operated in a mine,
Right.
just me, just mine. It's just for me.
And do you think that ultimately that mentality is the differentiator between anyone else who's tried to do it like this in the crit space?
Mm.
And why you guys in 1 year, man, you went from $100,000 to 1.72 million
Yeah.
in funding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why sponsors want to work with you ultimately, right? They understand your mission, because not only is it out there,
Right.
but you walk the talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It really is. I think our mission at the end of the day, if I had to characterize it, is it's good vibes, good people,
Mhm.
go fast on bikes, and have lots of fun.
Yeah.
And the fun isn't just in between us, it's with everyone that comes and watches on the sidelines.
Mhm.
What I do at the back of a crit race, it's never been done before.
Mhm.
Truly and genuinely. My style is called tail gunning. Most guys race at the front trying to cover my team. That's their job. Like I wait till the last 200 meters. So their job is to keep the race together, keep people from breaking away off the front. So I go sit at the back. I started to realize, like, when I'm back there for an hour, not having to fight, not being the shit, like I get bored and I almost get out, like I get taken out of it.
Right.
Because it's so easy at the back comparatively to the front. When you're racing at the front of a bike race, you're doing 100% of the work. If I'm racing at the back, I'm doing literally 50.
Yeah.
So it's a huge differential.
Right.
And so literally I started to figure out, I was like, I need to keep my head in check. And like, how am I going to keep my head in check in these races? And it's like, well, I get really excited when the people on the sidelines start cheering for me, and like
Right.
they need a reason to cheer. So what am I going to do? So this year I started giving people high fives at
Nice.
40 miles an hour
Yeah.
along the barriers, ripping these people hands
Right.
off. I started racing with an extra water bottle just so I could spray all these people as I'm going by.
So you've been going around and high-fiving people.
Dude,
and-
high-fiving people mid-race. I'll go by them. I'll scream at them, I can't hear you. Is that all you got? I'll like hit the barrier and I'll run. There's feet that stick out.
Yeah.
And so I can rattle the barriers with my wheels. And so I'll run the edge of the thing to rattle the barriers. So then all these people are like, whoa,
Right.
on the thing. And then what I found for me is like, as soon as I do that, like I can take a whole right side section. Then I was like, okay, word, I got the right side. Let's go get the left side now. All right, cool. Now I got the left side. All right, it's 10 minutes to go. All right, I got to go pull up at the front. Bro, we can't lose today. The whole crowd's cheering for us right now.
Right. They're going crazy.
They're going crazy because all of a sudden, how the hell did this dude who was dead last, 100th place for the last hour, who was just jawing us, razzing us, like having a good old time, looking like he's in the cheap seats, he's the peanut gallery. Now I'm fifth wheel.
Right.
And now you see
Right.
Now you see the athlete come out. Now you see, like, all right, me or you.
Right.
And I choose me every time.
Right.
And that's what makes me so good at what I do. And so it's like you just lean the interaction for me was, it gave me one extra level. All these people are like, it takes it out of your legs. You have to have the perfect race. You must save every bit of energy. Don't get me wrong. What I'm doing is saving every bit of energy, but I'll waste a watt to go pop out to high five a 9-year-old kid because I know that made his like world for the next 12 hours. And then that made me,
Right.
come on, boy. Come on now. Let's get it. Let's get it, you
Yeah.
know? And
That's what Crit Cowboy is all about, huh?
right. Good
Yeah.
vibes, good energy, good people, go fast on bikes and win some bike races. And that's what I learned is I tell my boys at the end of the race, before every race this season, we started to catch on to a phrase. Though winning is important, though it is like our first and foremost commodity, and that we will try to achieve that every time we show up at a bike race. You don't have to win the race to win the day. Winning the day is winning the people. And so me doing my thing to start to open the crowd to being able to receiving us, and then to, what I realize is if you do that, you get the people cheering for you. If you do win the day, you're a legend, bro.
Right.
You are I mean, it is so cool when you can have that perfect flow of you do the call up, we'll do like a t-shirt toss, throw, like we're doing like kind of like Savannah Banana, Harlem Globetrotter shit where it's just like it's none of these things that we're doing are like, people are like, how did you think of that? And it's
Right.
like, bro, I didn't go to that many basketball games or baseball games growing up, but at the seventh inning stretch and halftime, some hot girls got out and they started poof, poof, poof. Unfortunately, I'm not a hot chick. I got to do it by myself right now. We'll
Yeah.
get to that phase of this program, but like, we got to get things that get people excited. And if we throw out some, t-shirts and some bottles and whatever, that's nothing to us. It makes 20 people's days on the sideline. They're already cheering for us. Then I come by, I get me and my boys, we'll get in a line because a couple of us will tail gun. Then we're high five, high five, high five. I'm going by, pop, 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 pop to people, spraying water bottles. All of a sudden, okay, we take the crowd. You go, then we pull up to the front. Okay, can we win this shit? All right, we won this shit. Now everyone's like, mind
And
blown.
then on top of that, you have an echo chamber of your voice because you're using short form content, which is
Yes.
monetizing everything. But more
Yes.
importantly, man, I mean, can you tell me straight out or outright how easier or how much easier has it been to bring in sponsors with this tactic that you've been employing?
Cycling for the longest time has been sponsor me for the
Yeah,
vibes.
right.
Okay, but what's our ROI? Vibes. But like hard ROI. And I never understood that. Like, I get where it came from because in the 90s, when
Right.
cycling was at its peak, for a big company to get out in front of their target audience, there was no TV commercial, there was no Instagram, social media, whatever. You had to poof on someone's chest to get advertisements. That's what you used to sell. And cycling got stuck there. And so for me, it's like a team is a team is a family, but also at the end of the day, a team is a business. And so it's like, if we can't show direct ROI and how our our them supporting us turns into dollars into their account, we're not going to have a sponsorship at the end of the day. But if we can prove it, and then now what we're learning is the back end metrics. I have a buddy who's like teaching me like the metric IO, the path social stuff, where it's like, now we can see our conversion rate from getting these, making a post with 1 million views. It then translates to clicks on their page, which then translates to clicks on their websites, which then translates into, they have their own algorithm for how much that sells when they get clicks. But there's
Mm,
also a way to then, if you go really analytical into stuff, we can
mm,
see exactly what they're selling through their websites. And so it's like, okay, now we're playing the game and we're looking at this from a, like, at least a different level to crit racing, but how every other major sport operates. And if you can do that, and then we go into these meetings where, with crit racing especially, the people are used to, like, people don't know what they're talking about. They're coming in for sponsorship off the vibrations. Maybe they don't know how to lean in and use their image and whatnot. We can come with all the data as to why we are what you need to sponsor. Now we can move weight. And
mm,
that's what started. This has been, I would say, we still didn't even do it close to right this year in this sponsorship pitch I got along the way. It's like this year pitching for me was like my 2024 year of racing, where I'm
mm.
like, I'm testing things, I'm learning, I'm figuring out how you move in the business world, I'm figuring out how much you puff your chest before you kind of, before you know when you've set there's a maximum amount you can push. And so it's like, that was the same way it was in sponsorship pitching everything this season. And and yeah, man, it's a work in progress, but being willing to ever always being willing to learn and accept that I'm not always right. And that there is people who, that's their job, bro. That's why they can do it better. Just like my job is cycling, and I can do it better than most. There are people out there that can do that sector better than me, and if I'm willing to listen and learn, I can at least absorb that information and run, and then maybe run with them, if it's the right person. And that's kind of what it's been. That's how I've leveraged it. That's how I'm actively growing it, and that's why I think it will continue to go upwards, hopefully.
Mm.
Yeah.
The last question I want to ask you is what's next? What's next? What's the plan for 2026?
A bigger, better show.
Yeah.
A bigger, better show. Next year we'll be bringing some really unique stuff to 75 of the biggest crits across the country and world. We'll expand first thing is expansion of race calendar. We'll move into like international calendar from just a US based specific one. So growing our brand in other places, other mediums. Bikes are loved universally throughout the world, and there's no reason that we can't, be a part of that. Second is making these events more accessible and more grand, giving people somewhere to come and cheer and hang out with the athletes, something that crit racing really doesn't have. Crit racing is very much a like show up, hide behind your helmet, sunglasses, win the race, go home kind of vibe. This year we're going to have a 45-foot RV out on the road.
Nice.
First of its kind in crit racing. It'll be a thing that, I did a cost analysis on that. Actually, it's cheaper for us to move across the country in this rather than dotting in flying everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like, first and foremost, it was a cost expense thing that I analyzed. But then second, it's like, now it can become an event center. Now we can put, because we have that much storage, that much space to carry stuff, now we can put, come along the side section. We're going to have a guy manning it at 10 events next year, where we'll have a couple of our bikes so people can hop on and race our bikes with a Zwift TV in front of it. We'll have an ice tub section for the hot days so people can jump in and do a cold plunge like the athletes are going to do after the race. We're going to have a kit model and stuff. And then we're going to have beer, water, some food and stuff, and a shitload of noisemakers, because if you come to a crit, you better be ready to get rowdy.
Right.
And we're going to bring people into this section and just say, have fun.
Right.
Have fun, do bikes, do cool stuff. Maybe we'll sell some merch off of it and whatnot. Who really cares? I want to get the video of the party. That's what I care about.
Yeah.
And that's what I want it to be. I want it to expand into a party. I want us to go international. I think there's a million other ideas I'm running with right now that'll come to fruition, and we'll have another podcast to talk about it, dude. Yeah. I mean, we could go for. Dude, I'm gonna have to interview you next time.
There we go.
So how do you think to ask these questions? Yeah, man. It's more media, more racing.
Yeah.
A bigger, a badder American team. This year we got funding now. Last year it was pretty much like 4 of us that really traveled the country hard. Next year it'll be 6. And it's an American focused team, because our job now is to win that US Pro Champs every year.
Right.
That is the race. That is the race that elevated us to Kingdom Come, having that jersey, winning the pro crit. Not even just we doubled up actually. Luke won the U23 national criterium the night before, my right hand man, 19-year-old Luke, and then the next night I won pro.
Nice.
Which again hasn't been done before by any team, to double up on two of those in a section. So it's like, what a year, to come off of such a successful year, to come off from literally being like touted as one of the best teams to ever race crits, won probably the most crit races ever, as literally a like 3-man 4-man hit squad that had a black minivan, 5 bicycles, and a dream. Right. People are like, how do you get bigger? How do you get better? I was like, I don't know. We already won the most. So like, we gotta go tackle it we gotta, if we could have the same year we had last year, or in 2025 in terms of performance, and then further expand on top of that with better storytelling next year. Like, we won't just be doing short form. We'll have 6 long form content pieces, like episodes for people to follow. That'll
every month, or what's the plan?
I think that's the goal. It's going to be one a month at the biggest event of that month.
Right, throughout the season.
Throughout the 6-7 month season, so people can follow along what's going at our marquee events. We use the trendy hit reels to really get people in and know what's happening. We're gonna have a guy come in. Really the cool thing is, the thing I've been had the most fun with in all of this process, and it's gotten me the most excited, is building out the media team. Right. And like having this guy Elliot Teller, who owns a big brand here in Austin, Texas, and comes from cinematography background, where he shot commercials all the way to rap videos. He'll do our long form content and whatnot. We're already scheming on what races, the marquee races that he should be at, to show the storyline of not just me, but some of me in there, with Luke Fetzer and Danny Summerhill and Cade Bickmore and Brock Mason, Greg Vanderpool, Cesar Cerna, like all these all these people that have. Lucas Bourgoyne can't be sold to everyone. Not everyone loves Lucas Bourgoyne. Some people love 38-year-old Danny Summerhill, who they identify and see with. Some people love 19-year-old dirt bike Luke Fetzer, right? Who, like, everyone is someone else's cup of tea. And
some people love Kyle.
Some people love Kyle, bro. Kyle, we love you, dog. Yeah, man, it's building that out, telling the story long form. Then we have Elijah on our short form. He's the guy who did all of the cool shit you see this
Yeah,
year.
it's neat.
He crushed it again. Met him at the first crit of the year. Was brought out. Some people were like, "Yeah, here's a couple bucks and like come film." I was like, "Dude, you can film."
Right.
And then we have a young kid coming in who's helping, who's kind of like his little protege, and he'll come in and he'll do Insta 360 actually. So we'll
Oh,
walk
cool.
off the bus or walk off the bike, hand him the camera. He'll start turning and burning our Insta 360 stuff, and then we'll have the mastermind of it all, Spencer Virtue, my buddy who is now a very busy man working at
Virtuous man.
virtuous man, busy man working at DeWalt, where he'll come in and dot in for a couple races next year,
Nice.
doing his thing, getting to still do his passion and his love while making the big dollars at DeWalt, I guess.
Yeah.
So dude, it's I sit at the end of it and get to talk, like, I don't get to ever really lay it all out, but as I lay it all out to you, I'm just like, sometimes it's like, wow, like really
The story's still
blessed.
unwinding too.
It is still actively unwinding, and I'm sitting here like, if this is where I had made it to and this was the be all end all, I would have been so happy. Because for a year I proved, screw you, watch this.
Right.
That was all it was, man.
That's what we'll end on.
Yes, sir.
All right.